Hello, I thought I would come on and talk about karmic relationships, which is one of the three types of relationships that I've been describing on my other videos. So have you ever been in a relationship which could be classed as karmic? So have you been in a relationship where it felt like heaven for the first 6 to 8 months and then suddenly it became the opposite? If you're lucky enough, it might have lasted a year, but then suddenly one day, and it sort of happens gradually over a few days or a few weeks, a few months, you find that you're in a relationship which is so different, like the opposite of what you've been experiencing before. Or have you been in a relationship, or are you in one now, that swings between being a really good and really bad? So you have a couple of days good, a couple of days bad, or a week good and a week bad. So this sounds like a karmic relationship, this sort of swinging of the energy. And these relationships are often the types of relationships that you will have trouble leaving. So even though you know that this relationship may not be good for you, because you're not feeling good inside and the other person's not feeling good, they have elements or foundations within them of a codependent relationship. Which there's quite a bit written about this on the internet, but really this is, when you have an unmet need and someone else does, and you together it meets it, but you have to have the other person to meet your need. So if there's codependency, you often find that there isn't a way out of this relationship, and if you do find a way out, then you'll be returning to the same partner again and again and again, and you can feel a bit like you're going mad. And to your friends and your family and all the people you talk to about this relationship who are watching it, it will look like madness. And because, why would you stay with a person who's making you miserable? And why would you go back to them? But at the roots of this relationship, if it's karmic, it will have a great deal of logic and sanity because it's ruled by the will of karma. So what is karma? It's talked about a lot. The religions talk about karma. And there's lots of different viewpoints on it, but I can tell you mine, which is my belief system. So I like to think of karma as the balancing of opposites and opposite polarities. So when we're trying to return to balance, we're often going through a process of like a scales, in the universe, trying to create balance, and so that we can return to the universal flow of energy, like the 0 point. So I believe we're made up of energy and particles and waves, and so we're always giving and receiving energies, like energy is everything in the universe. So when karma is present, as it is on the planet Earth, we're governed by its effects. So some people call this the law of consequence, and that can be like a physical law of cause and effect, which when applied to our actions and decisions and interactions with one another, it can then begin to create a whole process of layering effect of decisions we've made and actions that create energy that then have an effect on everything we're doing. So karma is not just annoying, it can be useful as well. So it can be helpful in motivating us to transcend our base urges from our lower chakras, and helps us to ascend into a higher place within us, like ascending to a higher energy, a higher frequency. It's also a byproduct of our free will. So planet Earth is a planet of free will. So we can choose our actions freely. It may not feel like that all the time, but actually that's what we're doing. Free will is a main component of being here on planet Earth, and it allows us to choose our actions freely, make our own decisions, and express ourselves creatively. So there's a real key in that, because we can choose to be creative or we can choose to be destructive, and that is all part of our choices and our energy flow here. So that's what we've come to experience. So what are we doing in a karmic relationship? So why would we be in one? So I would say mostly we're playing out karma. So this means we often have had lifetimes with a partner in previous existences. So they can be existences here on Earth, or they can be in other dimensions or planetary existences. So we've had lifetimes with a partner where stuff happened. So that can be all sorts of stuff. It can be positive and it can be negative. And we can come back, we can choose to come back and with that partner many, many times and play out different roles in our lives with them. And we can do all the roles, and we are usually building love and trust through working often very difficult places inside ourselves, and often working through residues left over from past relationships with that person. Yeah, it's a bit like having a cupboard full of stuff and you keep getting it out and sorting it with that person. So one big question I have, is this love? You know, if you're in a karmic relationship, is it love? And yes, I would say it is. In some ways, it's love, but it may not feel like love all the time. Your experiencing of it may not be love on the surface. And I believe that there must be an incredibly deep soul love to agree to keep coming back again and again with the same person, to work with them over and over to resolve something, which can be incredibly intense as an experience. And to do that, I feel like there must have been a soul contract, an agreement on a very high level to do that with one another, because a karmic relationship can feel like torture at times, and you can wonder why you are staying in this environment or with this person or with this dynamic. But this is a loving, kind, generous universe, I believe, and this process is a gentle involvement of souls, and it also has no time limit or specified outcome. So this can actually go on for as many lifetimes as you choose, or as it takes to go through the process of balancing the karma. So another question I have is, why would I want a karmic relationship? Well, me personally, I've had many relationships in different forms, and these karmic relationships have often been all different forms, like not just love partners, but family members or colleagues or friends. And some of them have been easier than others. Often if you have a bit more space between the person and you can work it and then go away, go and work. It's not as intense as when you're in an intimate partnership and you're living together. And these relationships come as learning portals, and it can feel like work. And for that reason, I would prefer a soulmate or a twin flame relationship. Really because I want an easy life, and I want love and harmony to be at the centre of my experience, and I don't want to have to be working all the time, particularly when I'm at home and when I'm in my own environment. I want to experience something different. So this brings up another question for me, like, can we leave karmic relationships? So sometimes you see this dynamic. In a karmic relationship, one individual may have worked their karma, which is brilliant, but they are patiently waiting for the other to pay back or play out their karma. So this can look a bit odd to some people, because you'll have one person who seems okay with everything and the other person who's acting out all the time. But all I would say is this can hold up another's development in an incarnation. But it is a way of cultivating patience if it's part of your soul journey to wait for another to go through their karmic process. And that in itself can be incredibly enriching as a soul, even though it can be incredibly infuriating on a personality, psychological level if you're experiencing it. So the process of a karmic relationship is to restore balance. So if you're thinking about that on a wider, more expansive view, often the effects and decisions and actions in our past lives are influencing our relationship in this present life. So unfortunately, most people in relationships usually don't have any memory at all of the previous incarnations that have started this process between people. So they don't have a memory of the lives that have gone on before, and or one of the people might and the other may not. So all I would say is, if you are ready to explore past lives, and or you have an awareness of past lives, or you're ready to begin to explore them yourself or with a partner, I would really recommend focusing on forgiveness, as a lot of very difficult stuff went down in the past. A lot of violent stuff, or there'll be a lot of trauma sometimes. The way people used to live is quite different to how people live now. And I would also say that we've all played all sides. We've played victim, we've played aggressor, and if your soul has been around a few times, then you've done most things as a way of experiencing the world and evolving in your process. So practicing forgiveness with your partner or your friend or whoever it is, your colleague, is key as a way to finding a way to release the relationship ties. So releasing the karmic ties will help you move on so that you can leave the relationship if you want to. So leaving the relationship will release you in a way that you can then move on to experience a different sort of relationship if you so choose, like a soulmate relationship or a twin flame relationship in this incarnation. So it requires you to do forgiveness, do the work, and it will be easier then to clear that pathway for yourself. Although I would say a soulmate relationship is much more harmonious in my mind. A twin flame can be challenging, but not many people will get a twin flame opportunity in this in this experience, because their soul plan may not relate to a twin flame experience. But soulmates, I think people can. But to release karma from a karmic relationship, you will also need to release the things that bind you to it. So having a look at your codependency to that relationship. So there's a lot of self-reflecting that needs to go on, a self-healing, to be able to release any karmic ties or binding that keep you attached to a person. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a better understanding of karmic relationships, or a different viewpoint on karmic relationships. I will also be doing videos on twin flame and soulmate relationships if you're interested, and if you'd like to see those or hear more of those, please subscribe to my channel and like my video. And it's been really nice having a chat with you this evening. Okay, thank you. Bye.